Morning to meteorologist Travis Klineski here on this Wednesday morning where we've got a few areas of fog this morning. The most consistent, thickest fog is in the northeast part of the state from around Omaha to O'Neill. Right in here we have seen that visibility down below 1 mile in many locations this morning. There's some patchy fog elsewhere, even in some of the river valleys like the Platte River, a little bit of fog. It's cool out there this morning, and that cool air over top of warmer water has allowed for some fog to develop. Otherwise it's clear, so once the sun comes up, plenty of sunshine expected for the day today. That fog will burn off by about mid-morning or so. Wind's not terribly strong today. They'll be out of an east or a southeast direction. Out here to the west, though, more of a southerly wind. So you can kind of see the wind direction right in there. So the wind's not terribly strong for today, but maybe a little bit breezy out west, and it's that southerly wind. That's where the warmest temperatures are going to be for today. Tonight remains very quiet, clear skies for the most part. Not a whole lot of wind yet. The winds will pick up, though, tomorrow out of a southeasterly direction, but I will turn your attention later in the day. So more of a southeast wind right in here, but look right here, more of a southerly wind right there. And that southerly wind in these areas right in here, this is going to mean a little bit of drier air compared to a little more moist air to the east. And where the air is drier, as many of you already know, that means that you can see warmer temperatures. So some of the warmest temperatures are going to be across southern Nebraska and northern Kansas. There's actually going to be a frontal boundary right in here to the northwest, so it could actually be a little bit cooler in northwest portions of Nebraska. Tomorrow night we will see an increase in clouds Thursday night into Friday morning, perhaps even a few spotty showers or an isolated thunderstorm, not out of the question into early Friday. I don't think we'll see a lot of moisture though. The winds will remain breezy overnight Thursday night into Friday morning out of a south-southeasterly direction, and in fact that wind is really going to crank up on Friday. Along with that, we've still got a frontal boundary about right here. You can see the thicker clouds in northwest Nebraska, and this will continue to keep things cooler in the northwest part of the state into your Friday. Now, later in the day Friday, we're going to have to watch northeastern areas. There is a small chance of severe weather. The Storm Prediction Center has highlighted areas in north central to northeast Nebraska with a marginal risk of severe storms for later in the day on Friday. Well, as for your temperatures today, this is kind of the last of the really nice weather. Highs in the mid to upper 70s and lower 80s for most of us. A few mid 80s already in the panhandle of Nebraska, and this warmth is going to spread eastward across the rest of the area in the coming days ahead. Low temperatures tonight, tomorrow morning will be a little bit warmer than this morning. We'll see lows in the low to mid 50s, upper 50s in Smith Center, a few 40s, upper 40s back here to the west. Tomorrow, much warmer conditions, but I mentioned, if you remember, the drier air in the south where the winds will be more southerly. That's where your highs are going to get up into the low to mid 90s, whereas where the air is just slightly more moist or humid, and I don't want to call it humid, but there's a little more higher dew point, highs will be mostly in the 80s in these locations here. 70s behind that frontal boundary to the northwest. So actually the northern panhandle will be cooler today or tomorrow than today, while the rest of us will be much warmer than that. As we get into tomorrow night, a much warmer night in the 50s and 60s, again behind that front out west in the 40s. And this is, we're talking about near record territory when it comes to overnight lows for record warm minimum temperatures. And we could be maybe near record high temperatures Friday. Highs in the low to mid 90s for many of us. It's going to be toasty. It's going to be windy, wind gusts maybe up to 40 miles per hour. Some 80s here to the north and northwest. 70s even farther northwest. Again, keep in mind there's that frontal boundary off to the northwest. But most of us are going to feel the heat all the way through the upcoming weekend and early next week, and the winds will be strong. The worst of the winds will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, some gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour. Now, it's still going to be pretty breezy even into Monday and Tuesday, and temperatures still pretty toasty through Monday, coming down a bit on Tuesday as a front starts to make its way in. There are a couple of small chances of rain here and there, one of those being early Friday morning, the next one Saturday night, Monday. Tuesday may be a better shot as we get later into the day and into Tuesday night with that colder air coming in, or cooler air, I should say, not colder air. But the other thing to keep in mind with all this wind, especially for areas that have not picked up much rain over the last several weeks, give it a month or so if you've picked up little to no rain, which most of us did get some good rain last week, but if you haven't seen much, the fire weather risk is going to increase in the days ahead with stronger winds. Keep in mind we're getting drier fuels now as we get into harvest season. The corn, soybeans, and things like that are drying out. And you start to get blowing corn husks with farm machinery out in the fields or starting to get out into the fields. They get overheated or get very warm. That can sometimes create fires, and of course the winds can blow those out of control. So I'm not saying we're going to see the worst fire conditions ever, but just something to keep in mind as we get into these windier days ahead, these very warm, dry, windy conditions that we'll see in the coming days ahead. Now let's look at the 10-day forecast. We are going to sneak those temperatures down as we get into next week, starting on Tuesday all the way through Friday of next week. That's those final 4 days of my 10-day forecast here. Upper 70s and lower 80s. That's still above average for early October. Keep in mind, by the time we get towards about the 10th or the 6th of October, our average high is probably going to be down around 72 or 73 degrees. So we're still talking temperatures about 5 to 10 degrees above average, even though they will be cooler than these very, very toasty conditions we're going to see later on this week and through the upcoming weekend. A couple of things worth noting, like I said, we're going to be fairly dry in the coming days ahead. Not a lot of moisture. There's that small chance right here Friday morning. It's not real promising. Friday afternoon, the Storm Prediction Center had that northeast Nebraska area highlighted. Notice the European model does not show much. We may get a chance here Saturday night and the Sunday morning. It's a small chance. More small chances maybe Monday here. It's a little iffy. Tuesday, I have a little bit better chance. Chances may even get better later in the week here as cooler air begins to come in from the northwest. It does look like as we get towards the very end of next week, it could be a big weather pattern change. Let's look at the GFS model here. Very little moisture the next couple of days. There's that early Friday morning chance right there. Later Friday, northeast Nebraska, maybe. We'll see. I'm a little iffy on that. I had that chance. I did not throw in a chance for Saturday morning. I'm a little iffy on that right there. But maybe Saturday night and the Sunday morning. Monday again here, we'll see. Tuesday, a slightly better chance right there. And that's as that cooler air begins to work its way in here, and maybe even better chances down the road later in the week as we continue to cool things back towards the end of next week. And yeah, you're starting to see snow up in the Rockies. Not in our area yet, but up in the Rockies area. Long range forecast trends here, temperature trends. I believe this is the European model. It's very warm air for the next several days to come, all the way through Monday. We do get a little bit cooler, but even then, sorry, I'm going to back this up real quick. This forecast model is still loading in, so it's a little behind. All right, so again, temperature's not bad today. Tomorrow it starts to warm up. We keep the warmer air around Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Very warm air in place over the middle part of the country here. Cooler air off to our northwest. It begins to approach. This model is a little bit slower with that cooler air. It doesn't have it here by Tuesday. The European's a little bit slower, but does begin to cool us down a little bit later next week here, but it could be a bigger shot of colder air that may remain off to the northwest as we get into next weekend. We'll see here. We'll see how far southeast that gets. That's the European model. Let me show you the other model here. Get the loaded in. Sorry, that was the GFS model, not the European model. Probably for most of you that's not a big deal. It doesn't really matter, but I just want to show you the differences between the two models here. So here we go. This is the European model. Again, pleasant temperatures today, kind of influenced by that low pressure off to our east over the Great Lakes in the Midwest. Warming up starting tomorrow and continuing to warm up Friday. Staying warm Saturday. And this, I did it wrong. I'm sorry. I did this wrong. I put the wrong one in. Just realized that now. Let's try this again. There we go. We'll try that one more time. Let's let the information load in here. Again, cooler today, warming up tomorrow, and this warmer air is going to be sticking around right through Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday, again, we'll see. Tuesday's kind of the big iffy day right now. But it does look like later next week here, towards Friday, we may start to finally cool down a little bit more. We'll see. Friday, Saturday time frame. So it's a little up in the air. It's a long ways out yet, so I'm not going to get too worked up about it. But it does look like we could get more of a taste of fall, but it wouldn't be until maybe the very end of next week or that first full weekend of October, which would be Harvest of Harmony on that Saturday there. That's the 7th of October. So, but we'll kind of save that for down the road here. We've still got a ways to go before we get there. So here's kind of one final look at that 7-day forecast. And like I said, the biggest caveat's this temperature right here on Tuesday. Is it going to really be that cool? Could we see another very warm day on Tuesday? Because I'm still kind of up in the air on that a little bit here. But otherwise, enjoy today, because today's going to be kind of the last of the really nice weather for several days to come here. So, all right, I want to thank you all for watching on this Wednesday morning. I'll see you all again on Thursday with all the latest as we talk heat and wind in the days ahead. Talk to y'all later. Bye.